Agree with
And
that.
why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the fourth grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real, raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the fourth grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real, raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the fourth grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real, raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, And I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real, raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real, raw conversations. We think it's gonna become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We think you as family, and we love you all. Yo, 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 yo. What up, folks? Mikey G, Maddie Mintz here. Guess what? We have another Mike and another Matt. This has never happened before. It's midlife crisis history, baby. This is going to be a sweet night. We already got our OGs in chat. Spazoinks, Buzz Monkey. How you all doing? Stargirl, we love you. You are one of the reasons we're still here is because you keep our shit in line. So thank you so much for being here. Maddie, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing amazing, man. Life is good. Loving Florida. On the Atlantic coast this time, though, so that's a little change. Got some waves, so you know, on that West Coast side, you got nice sunsets. Here, you got nice surfing. So it's been good. Got a little sunburn. Loving life, man. My feet were sandy today. It's a good day.
Bro, did you just say nice surfing? San Diego is one of the top destinations in the world to surf, dog. Come on now.
In Florida, bro. In Florida. I'm not in the West Coast of the country.
That is true. That is true.
If you've ever tried to surf the Gulf of Mexico, good luck with that one.
Ain't working out, is it?
Yeah, exactly. So comparatively, yes, okay, we're not as cool as San Diego. I get it, but
no,
that being
Florida is okay.
That being said, Cocoa Beach, that's like that's the East Coast surfing like hub. You know what I mean? A lot of famous surfers came from there.
I think I got the average age by about 20 years on you. That's about it. Relatively the same, minus the humidity too. But
yeah,
my cost of living is 10x, so there's that as well.
There is that for sure. So yeah, man, but life is good, man. It's been great. I'm excited to do the stream today. It's gonna be fantastic.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited too. I had a chill day. My house was empty the last 3 days. It was insanely quiet. My dogs came back with a vengeance, barking crazy shit. I'm gonna have to hit this mute button probably a handful of times tonight. So if I'm talking, you think I should be talking, you don't hear me, I probably forgot to unmute myself. But with all that being said, man, this is going to be a cool show because not only do we have the same names, we've had some similar journeys. We're all creatives. We're going to vibe out, but we're also going to hear a pretty cool story. I don't think we had a father son duo once, which was really cool, but we've never had a brother duo. And that's what we got tonight. So I'm going to start with Matt. Matt, we got some credentials, and like we usually do on the show, we're going to do a 3 or 4 bulleted quote unquote resume and then a fun fact. So we'll start with the resume. Matt Crypto, if you've heard of that name in the space, some of you might have, considering the fact that he's built YouTube channels across multiple YouTube channels, millions of subscribers. Dude has done his work, has done things the right way. In addition to that, he actually had a alpha group called NFT HUD, sold that out about a year ago. Was that, Matt? How long was that ago? Was that
Yeah, January of last year.
January of last year?
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, with his brother in 2019, launched a video production company, has worked with the likes of the Atlanta Braves, Terrell Owens. And then the fun fact, this is a new and unique one. Never heard of this one. Dude was born with 3 sets of front teeth. And when the grown ones came in, they came in the opposite direction. Dude looked straight like a vampire. That warms Maddie's heart because when we were little, he wanted to be a vampire. Welcome to the show, Matt. Glad to have you, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good time. And then before we get into the world famous midlife question, we got to introduce the brother, Mike. Mike, great name. Don't know where you got it from, but I have an awesome name as well. Fun fact about you, he also, and now I would say Matt's the YouTuber, Mike is more of the video production film guy. So in addition, he had the charge with the film company as well called Playback. His big accomplishment, and he has been very jazzed, has worked really hardcore with the Atlanta Braves. Is actually you're there right now with them, right, Michael?
Yes, that's correct. I'm in Florida right now with the Braves doing preseason stuff.
Dude, he's in Florida, soaking up the sun, doing preseason stuff with Atlanta Braves. That's a dream for a lot of people. Been there, done that. Was a college athlete, played soccer, and then you know what? The fun fact, and this is another first. I haven't heard of this. We're gonna have to go through this, and I'm just gonna go straight to the meat of it. They apparently got jumped. Unfortunately, they lost the fight as well, and then the icing on the cake is they got arrested after they lost the fight, all on a cruise
Look,
ship.
caveat though, caveat. I'm going to give them some cred here. They chose not to fight.
Correct.
So
That's
that is
true.
very different. That is very different than losing a fight, right? They took the high road. They took
Yeah.
the high road and they got punished for it. And that's the real lesson here, folks. When you take the high road, this is what can happen to you. If you're going to go down, you might as well swing. I'm just
Dude,
kidding. I'm not advocating that at all. I'm just simply saying.
Hey,
These seem like really nice guys. They did the right thing.
I'm reading the 43, 48 rules of power by Robert Greene. I'm on like rule number 18, and the 18th rule is decimate your competition. They did not learn that rule
Good.
because it always come back to bite you in the end. But welcome to the show, Michael. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me.
I'm excited. We're gonna have a good conversation. We're gonna go back to you, Matt, like I said, and we're gonna start with you. Famous midlife crisis question. Please tell us how you got to the seat you're sitting in today. We will do the first 45 minutes, kind of Star Wars episode 1 and 2, which is your childhood, in your professional career. And then the second half, we'll talk about Web3 crypto and your current projects. So let's start as a child, man. Give it to us. Can't wait to hear this story.
Yeah. So I guess the beginning of my story would be, at least in my head, would be I don't even know how old I was, maybe young teens. And because Mike's my brother, he's going to have a lot of overlap probably here because he was involved in a lot of these situations. But I've always loved to make videos. I always love the idea of creating something from nothing and being able to look back on it and see what you've created or what you've accomplished or what you've built. And that theme has been consistent ever since I was little. But initially, it was taking my dad's camcorder and shooting all kinds of weird, quirky videos. And some of the first ones that really did well when I posted on YouTube in like 2009, we did music video parodies. And so I'd have my brother and my sister and some of my friends all come over and we'd script out like a parody script of a music video. And then we'd go ahead and shoot the music video and post it on YouTube and see how many views it would get. And we did several of these, and some of them did pretty well. And that was probably the beginning of my journey into video production. So that's the first inkling I had that I really like to be creative, and I liked again making something from nothing. I think is the core theme. And so as I grew up, I was in high school, and the most popular video game at the time was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And I got really addicted to this game. So every day I would come home from class and all I wanted to do is play this game the rest of the night, get the homework done as quickly as possible, hop right in the game. And after a while of playing, you get kind of good at the game. And so I wanted to start making videos about things I was doing in the video game. So like how to get a nuke or what the best weapons were or strategies or, tips and tricks. And I started watching other YouTubers. There's guys like T Martin and people that are on Machinima. If you know what that is, you're truly an OG. But
Oh, I
they would
do. I
post,
actually,
yeah.
I actually did advertising with him at Geico. That's how OG I
Ah,
am.
there you go. Yeah, Machinima's very very early on. So I saw these other people making these videos, and I said, well, if they can do it, why can't I? So at first, I didn't really know how to record the screen because it was different than recording like, real life things like a music video. So I took my dad's camcorder and put it on a tripod. I don't even know if we had a tripod at that point. I might have put it on like a stack of books or a chair or something and just pointed it right at the screen as I was playing. Needless to say, it was not high quality whatsoever, but it got the gameplay, across. And so I posted a couple of videos of me playing and they didn't do very well, but I really like the idea of me getting to do something I love and also creating something that I wanted to create, creating a video of doing something that I love. So that was kind of the first light bulb that went off. I was like, man, this is so cool. I get to make a video about something that I love to actually participate in every day. After a while, I realized you could buy this thing called an HD PVR. Also, if you know what that is, you're truly an OG. Hapodge or a Dazzle, that's what they were called. And it's basically a way to record the TV, what you see in the TV. You could record it on a very low quality. It was probably like 360p or 480p. Um, but the problem is that this PVR cost $200. And at the time when I was in high school, I think I was a sophomore, so I didn't really have like a consistent income or really much of an income at all. I had a job during the summer, but that wasn't really breaking the bank or anything like that. So I told my dad, "Hey, I want to buy this PVR. Like I'm gonna spend some of the money I have in savings to buy this PVR." And he told me I was crazy. He said, "That's a waste of money. Why are you gonna spend $200 on this just to play video games? Like, what's the purpose?" And my ultimate goal at that point was, can I take this PVR, record the gameplay, and get these YouTube videos to a point where Machinima will actually want me to be part of their network? And at the same time I was doing this, there was a partner program that was starting to come out. If you were signed to Machinima, you could monetize your content. And this was like brand new at the time. Now it's more of a mainstream thing on YouTube. You can make money. It's kind of well known. But at this time, like 12, 13 years ago, this wasn't a thing. But if you signed with Machinima or another network similar to them, you could make money on your videos. And that's all I wanted to do. I was like, man, this could be I could turn this into a job where I get to make videos and make money doing it and play video games. Like, how cool would that be? So I thought if I buy the PVR and I get really good content and the quality is good enough, they might accept me into the Machinima program and I can make money. So I saved up money. I bought the PVR against my dad's wishes. And eventually it took about a year and a half of really grinding out videos, learning how to edit. Like I taught myself kind of how to edit, hack these things together, how to record voiceovers. I bought a really shitty Turtle Beach headset and just, do what I had to do to make these things come to life. And eventually I did get signed to Machinima. I was part of their network. And my first paycheck, we'll never forget, I think it was about 90 cents. I got a paycheck in the mail for 90 cents. And I was ecstatic because the fact that I got paid anything to do what I love was the coolest feeling I'd ever felt at that point. And I'm pretty sure, and my Mike can confirm this, but I'm pretty sure the whole family was, it was like, oh, that's cool, but it was kind of a joke, right? It's like 90 cents, like, all right,
We
big
were
whoop.
laughing.
Like
We were laughing at him.
it was a humiliating moment, but also a very, very happy moment for me
Oh
because I was
man,
like,
that's
man,
not humiliating. That is amazing. I mean, you still
I
had
knew
a-
what was going on, but it was hard to say like, hey, like this is going to become a thing until it becomes a thing because this is just so foreign to even myself at that point. It's just so foreign to everyone that
right.
it looks like a joke that I'm so excited about 90 cents. But
And you're still $199.10 in the holes, but
well, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it like that, right? I didn't have the business mindset at that point. I was just like, bro, I play video games and I made $1. How cool is that?
That's pretty badass,
So
dude.
I kept going. I kept working on it. I would go to the school and tell everyone in my grade about my channel, right? Because I was like, anyone I could tell to get this out to people that'll go watch videos, the videos will help it make more money because the more views you get, the more money you made. I would even do things which I'm pretty sure weren't allowed on YouTube's term of service, but back in the day, I would go to the Apple Store and literally play my videos on the Apple Store computers just to generate some more views. It was only
Dang, that's brilliant.
it
Cheat
it
code.
it was a cheat code. It was only, maybe 10 views or so, but at that time, like, that's all I needed to get some momentum going because 10 views at that time was a ton. At least for me, it was. And especially at that time on YouTube, like, people weren't getting these million view videos all the time. So
Right.
I was doing everything I possibly could think of to try to get some more generated hype on my channel, and I stuck with it. I stuck with it even through college. I went to Syracuse, as you can see by the sweatshirt, and I would say that the first year of college was easily the most important year of my life in terms of setting the foundation of how I am today. Because I had 2 majors in college. I was brand new to a school that I didn't know anyone at, and I pledged a fraternity. So that the second semester when I pledged, I had, I think, like 9 or 10 classes, and I was also brand new to college. I had very few friends, and I was pledging a fraternity, which, if you know anything about that, it's a ton of time, and it's
Mhm.
not mentally very easy. At the same time, I was also continuing to do YouTube because at that point it had become like a full-time job. I was making consistent money, I would say maybe a couple hundred to a couple thousand a month, depending on how things went that month. But I learned how to manage my time better than I ever have before because you don't realize how much time you have in a day if you don't waste it. If you spend every single moment doing something productive, you can get a hell of a lot done in a day. And I didn't realize that until that year when I had to do a ton of stuff and I didn't really have a choice. I either could just say, I'm not going to do YouTube, or I'm not going to do Pledge of Fraternity, or I'm going to, flunk these classes. But that wasn't really an option to me. I wanted to do all of them so badly that I was like, I'm going to make it work. And I did. And I think that taught me a lot personally about how important time is and how valuable it is and how much you really do have if you put your mind to it. So after that, I continued to work on the YouTube channel all throughout college. And once I graduated, I had an offer from another network called Omnia Media. They asked me to come work at their network. It's a YouTube network similar to Machinima. They wanted me to continue working on one of the channels I was helping them produce there called Arcade Cloud, which is it's like they did like animations for video games. Um, their offer was a pretty decent offer. It's out here in LA. It was $50,000 a year. And I thought about it to myself and I said, that's probably about what I could make on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to be working for someone else. And I don't think that working for someone else's dream has really been something that's ever been enticing to me. So let's just let's just go for it and see what we can do doing YouTube full time without having to worry about school, classes, graduation, all these other things that are going on, social life. Let's get out of school and focus 100% of our energy on YouTube. And that's what I did. And I've had, I don't even know, a dozen channels since then. Some of them have worked out, some of them have failed miserably. Um, the best one surpassed 1 million subscribers, the one that I started from scratch. There's other ones that I've worked on, like Arcade Cloud, that's got like 3 million subscribers now. And when I started with it, it was, I don't know, like 250,000 subscribers. So we've done a bunch of different channels, um, all different kinds of niches. Obviously, the latest one is Matt's Crypto. Actually, that's not even true anymore. I just started another one called Snap Sesh for Marvel Snap. It's another gaming channel. Um,
Okay.
but essentially, what I can say from the whole experience that I've had growing up is that I learned that I love to make stuff from nothing, no matter what it is, whether it's creating videos or building a business like the video production company we've worked on, or even like this last year, we hopped into NFTs and we built this analytic platform called NFT HUD from nothing. And Mike and I were able to help the developers of that project take it from just an idea that we had all the way to selling a mint and really blowing it up. And I think building something that was at the time super robust for what the comparisons were or what the competition was bringing out. So that kind of leads me to the next point. After I stopped, I didn't really stop doing YouTube, but I had a bunch of channels. I actually had this one channel called Top 10 Trends that I worked on for a while, and I realized that it was more of a business endeavor on that channel than really a passion. And I wanted to kind of shift gears. So in late 2017, I decided I wanted to sell the channel, which I had never done before. I didn't even know if that was possible, but it is. I found a person in Spain who was running a business that basically is like an escrow company between content creators and other businesses that want to acquire social media outlets, social media channels. And so he escrowed that deal. I was able to sell Top 10 Trends with my partner on the project and take that money and kind of spend the next year figuring out what I wanted to do. And at the same time, Mike was graduating college, and we decided, hey, why don't you move out to LA? I've already been, kind of established here, and let's see what we can do as a team because we've always wanted to work together on this video production stuff that we love to do, creating content, but we've never been in the same place. He went to school in Tampa. I went to school in Syracuse. We're 4 years apart in terms of age. So he had, 4 years of college after I had already graduated. So like, let's see what happens when we're in the same place, at the same time, working on the same thing. And that's when we launched Team Playback. It's been 4 years now. We've done super well, I think, in that endeavor. And we worked with all kinds of different people. I'll let him tell you about that because he's a bigger part of
Yeah.
that project than I am, I would say. But in 2020, go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, I was gonna say let's give Mike a chance to do
Okay,
episode 1 because we're getting into the professional stuff at this point. So
gotcha.
that way we can get. But this is fantastic, Mike. Did you have any
Oh.
questions that were burning that we should do first?
So before we go, there is one because you did go kind of to your high school capture card, and you've mentioned multiple times you like to create something out of nothing. Uh, is there anything back in like your younger childhood or influence from your parents or even your brother or family or some moment uh, that thinks that helped mold that mindset, or is that always just something inherently part of you?
I'm not sure. I would say the parents. They're both accountants, so I don't really know. I
Okay.
wouldn't say they're uncreative, but
Right.
they definitely aren't. They're more in the numbers game. I do think our grandfather potentially had some influence on that kind of love, and I don't know how it really trickled down to me because I never really had a lot of involvement with what he's done. But
Right.
he had a real estate company that he started from scratch and sold for quite a bit of money. He had a like a water meter reading company that he again started from scratch and sold for quite a bit of money. Then he had a hardware business, same thing, started from scratch. That one didn't go as well, but again, he started something from nothing a lot of times, and I think that may have translated down to me at some point. I did help him one summer before I got into the video stuff on that hardware company. Wasn't a
Oh,
huge fan of it. Like I didn't have a lot of passion for it, but I do like the idea of seeing growth and seeing you put all of your effort into something and results come from that effort. So I would say that he probably had some influence in some roundabout way, I would say.
ooh, I like that a lot, and I think that that's what I was looking for. Is there something that we could peel back the young in there for? And then one more question, and then we'll go to you, Mike.
Yep.
I promise. Um, you've done a lot. You've had a lot of different YouTube channels, and you mentioned a couple times it felt like business or I wasn't passionate about it. Do you talk to us about how you balance creating business, monetizing, but then your passion as well? I think that's an interesting conversation.
I'm glad you brought this up because I could talk about this for quite a while.
Well, we'll have many more shows then.
Yes. Yeah, there's this weird thing where usually you'll start something as a passion, like just like I did in kind of my story. I was starting playing video games and creating videos just for fun because I like doing it. But then the idea of being able to monetize or turn it into a career was so appealing, and actually achieving it is very gratifying. But there does come a point, and I think this has happened in every endeavor I've done so far, at least on YouTube channels, where you have to balance the business with the passion. And once you have to start having responsibilities, once you get a little bit older, right? Like I have a house now, there's a lot of bills, there's a lot of responsibility. Uh, you start to have this pressure where you need to make a certain amount of money to afford your lifestyle of whatever it may be,
Hmm.
but you're also still trying to have that passion that you had initially when you started whatever endeavor it is. So like for the YouTube channel, I started making videos because I love it, specifically making gaming videos because I love gaming and I love making content. But all of a sudden, when my income is reliant on views and the amount of success that that channel has, there's this weird pressure of, man, I really want to make this video, but I don't know if it'll do as well as this other video that will pay more money, but I don't really have as much interest in, right? Like there's what the viewer wants and
Hmm.
there's what you want. And those often aren't the same thing or even close to the same thing. And that definitely becomes hard. I think that's one of the bigger challenges I've faced on YouTube. And I know with all of my other friends who have channels that have even bigger channels than I do, all face that same mental battle of continuing to stay true to you and what you want to do and exploring yourself creatively and not being afraid to try out new things and explore new passions, but also sustaining your business and sustaining your career in a way that you can provide for yourself and be able to live off of what you're doing. um, and so I think this has actually become a little bit of a problem for me and for Mike subsequently as well, because we work together on everything pretty much. I often find that I love to try new things and I have no problem trying and failing new things. But the issue is I tried so many new things and sometimes they work out so well that there's a lot of things going on at once. And it becomes a little jaded on what thing I should be focusing on the most. And what's bringing in the most money often isn't what I care about the most. So that makes it even more difficult. It's like, well, this thing
Hmm.
is doing really well. Like this
Right.
business is booming, but I really want to keep doing this other thing over here.
Right.
And that has become a consistent challenge for me, and I think even for Mike, as we had our journey here. So my tips would be sometimes you got to take a step back, take some days off, and really think about what it is you love to do and why you're doing it. And often I think you can find, especially like if you write it down and kind of like prioritize, like, hey, if I had to stop doing one of these forever, which one would I be most upset about? And that can kind of help you figure out where you should be refocusing your priorities.
Right.
And I'm not perfect at that. I know Mike knows that. I know we've had talks like, man, sometimes we gotta like slow down on these other things and really put our energy into one thing. Um, and you'll notice that that's going to be something we talk about later on, but I won't
Yeah.
spoil it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
That's
Now,
cool.
Sure.
great journey, man. And Maddie, any thoughts on or any thoughts
Yeah.
before we go to Mike, real quick?
Absolutely, man. First of all, well said. Um, I think that every creator, every artist, every person that builds anything has this fight, right? Whether you be an architect, a traditional, paintbrush type, or drawing type artist. I mean, graphic designer, anybody creative, musicians, right? There's the music you want to play, and there's the music that sells. You know what I mean? Um, I'm not a big music person, but I do distinctly remember a conversation where Lady Gaga talked about her persona becoming Lady Gaga, and she was like, at NYU doing classical style, like traditional music, the way she liked it, but yet the world pays for pop stars, right? So she became this other person, and it's just interesting because I think we've seen that story in a lot of different realms in creativity. I think it's a tough balance. I think, to your point, taking a step back and saying, am I happy doing, if I had to stop doing one of these, would it make me happy? Um, is easier if even doing the thing, if doing the things that make you happy can pay the basic bills, that's an easier decision to make. I think where sometimes the quote unquote starving artist can get themselves in trouble is, I'm going to do what's passionate to me, but it's like you're not paying your rent. Well, that's tough, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to make decisions to do the thing that maybe pays bills because it's popular or go for the likes, to get yourself monetized to a point where you have the ability to do the things that you want to do. Any insight on that, or any maybe thought on that balance? Because I think there's a lot of people who would love to follow your journey and build a YouTube empire or something. There's a lot of young people now. It's wild hearing high schoolers, like how many of them, when asked what they want to be, they're like, I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to be a streamer. And so, like, what would you say to that person that hasn't maybe gone through and done this for over a decade like you have?
Yeah. I mean, my first answer is,
Join ChopParty.
there you go. That's I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah, we'll get to it.
we've created something with that exact answer in mind. Like,
Okay.
for at least for me and my part of this, that is literally the reason why we've done this. But outside of that, I would say I think man, it's tough because it's everyone's situation is so different, right? Like
Yeah,
some
Sure.
people really don't have the luxury of being able to really fail for too long. So
right.
Yeah.
my first thing would be like, hey, while you're young, like there's a really high chance you can fail a bunch or not make it where you want to make it right away, and you'll be okay. You'll find a way. When
Right.
you're older and you have, like I said, when you have like responsibilities and you have all these bills piling up, and maybe you want to start a family, you want to, try to own property or whatever it is, like once you're a little bit older, I think it's a little harder to take big risks. Uh
Mhm.
so I'd say for people that are coming out of high school, like let it rip. If you're in college, especially, like don't take your courses and do what you're going to do in college, but the time you're not in class is the most important time. Whether it's meeting people that are going to help you get to where you want to be, or just learning as much as you can, trying as many things as you can and failing at them till you learn what you're really good at and what you really like. That's like way more important to me than class, I think, will ever be, aside from certain degrees, like if you're a doctor or, obvious things like that. But if you're a creative, which is kind of what I'm gearing this towards, you got to go and find what you like to create. And I think it's really hard to know that sometimes. So I would say try early, fail often, and if you keep working at it, I don't see a lot of times where people don't make it to where they want to get. I think a lot of people give up a little too early.
Mm,
I think the world we're in right now is built in with a lot of instant gratification in so many ways. And I can't tell you how many friends I've had that say, "Hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. This is my idea. What do you think?" And I tell them, "It's a great idea. You got to do 100 videos before you give up." And almost every single one of them will get like 3 months in, they've made 15 videos, 20 videos, and they don't get the traction they want to see at that point, and they give up.
yeah.
And that's like the worst mistake you can make, is giving up, because you don't know when that one video is going to hit that sets everything in momentum.
Yeah.
As soon as you have that momentum, it is infinitely easier to get going. I always tell Mike, it's like the hardest part of building a snowman is building the first snowball,
Yeah.
because once you have that snowball packed, you roll it, and next thing you know, it's huge.
Yeah.
He does.
But you
use that
have to have that base momentum to start. And that's so hard to get for people sometimes because they give up just a little bit too early because you never know when it's going to start to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say just my thing has always been keep your head up and stick with it. Like some stuff is just not going to work. I've been doing this like after 10 years. I had during COVID, we did 3 new channel ideas. Mike and I were sitting in here 12 hours a day with nothing to do. We were living in the same place at the time. We made 3 new YouTube channels on ideas I thought might work. And we spent countless hours on these channels, and pretty much all 3 of them failed miserably. It took, we gave it a full year and a lot of effort before I was like throwing in the towel, like this is just not working. I'm accepting it as a loss and moving on. But I think you have to give it a really good run before you can get to that point of accepting it as a failure and trying the next thing.
Yeah. No, that's good. And Mike, I wanna this is a great conversation. Do you have anything to chime in on it?
Me, Mike?
Yeah.
Yep.
You, Mike.
I mean, Matt's so articulate. I wish he could tell my story.
I
Seriously,
could try.
extremely well spoken. And I think he touched on so many good points about not only entrepreneurship but just the creative space in general. If you want me to start my story now, I will. But did
Yeah,
you want me
let's
to
do
kind of
that.
touch on what he said
Let's
there?
do that.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have any quick replies to that, Maddie, but I think Matt, you did a good job of talking about what you should think about. And people don't talk about this enough too, is like there's a time to pull the cord as well. And it's very difficult doing that, especially if you love something that you do.
Yeah.
Maddie.
Yeah. One quick question, actually, just because I think I'm amazed by this, is that I think a lot of people hear about YouTube success and they just assume you must have started YouTube, maybe a year or 2 ago, right? And it's wild to me because you're talking about putting up YouTube content before monetization wasn't even really part of the model. Like it was really just for people to share fun videos that they enjoyed making. And the idea that you could like make money or certainly a career, which is totally there. Where did that even come from? Like, where did you even think I'm going to make money doing this, or was it just a complete hope? Was there a thought behind it?
The the first inkling I got of being able to make money was Machinima. I don't think at the time there was a YouTube partner program. There was a network partner program where if you were signed with a network, they're called MCNs, multi-channel networks. It was a big thing back in the day. It's not a thing anymore. But Machinima was one of these networks where they had a relationship where they could sell advertising on your videos, and they were able to share that revenue with YouTube and the creator, and they would sign you to a deal where you could get a split of whatever advertisement they sold on your videos. And so I heard about this. I'm not even sure where. I think it's just from watching other gamers and seeing that they were on Machinima, and then learning through like forums and whatnot that people are actually making money from their Machinima contracts. It wasn't a whole lot at the time. It's definitely a lot better now than it was. But that's where I first learned about it. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I gotta try. I gotta try for this. This seems like the coolest thing ever. Why would I not give it a go?
That's really cool. Cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing
Yeah,
that. This has
yeah,
been a great
absolutely.
journey. Yeah, man, I am ready. So,
All right,
so
yeah.
Mike, give us the rundown. Episode 1.
Awesome. Episode 1. Well, I gotta commend Matt on an amazing story. Like I said, he's just super articulate. And he touched on a lot of things that I wanted to touch on as well. But I think one thing that I really have to hammer home is we've always been like super good at trying to work on stuff that we're actually passionate about. So I think one thing is the video game sector. I think that's why Matt started in the first place with video games, is because he loves it so much. And we used to play together all the time. I remember coming home from school, we'd go on Modern Warfare 2. Actually, I think the first day it came out, I stayed home sick. I wasn't sick, but I stayed home sick because I just had to play that game. And I think that's one of the most important factors of everything that Matt's done in his career is doing it off of passion. He's very good at finding stuff that he loves and then finding a way to make money doing it. So I think that's like one of the most important lessons that I think we can grab from what he's talking about, and that's why he's been so successful in his 12 years, 13 years of YouTube. My story, I'm a bit of a late bloomer. I didn't really get into filmmaking until later on, but the reality is I've always trailed Matt, and we're best friends. So from day one, we've always done stuff together: sports, video games, filming. He was the one with the camera, like he mentioned. He was always in front of it, extremely good in front of the camera. I mean, you should see some of his early videos, playing the piano, making me play guitar in them, just singing. It's some of the stuff I wish would never get out, but it's just great family content that we love looking at. He's a vlogger since day one, and he always wrote me into some of those videos as well. I remember we did some music videos together, California Girls, some Nicki Minaj music videos, stuff that should
Fantastic.
never
I love
ever
it.
see the light of day. Um, and I'm actually a little disappointed I brought that up because I hope that never gets out. Um, but yeah, so the reality is Matt is he's always been the one to do things first, and then I've kind of trailed along and tried to get good at it or even better than him at it. So there's always been a little
True.
friendly competition there, but in general we've always kind of done stuff together. Um, I would say my growing up was a lot more around sports, a lot more around school, and just hanging out with friends and girls. And I think I focused that way more than doing anything like video or anything outside of those three things. So I was playing soccer year round. I played club soccer. I played high school soccer. Captain of the soccer team. It was pretty much dominating my life at that point. And I think the first time that I really got into the creative space was actually trying to start and be a DJ. We were trying to produce music. One of the things that Matt probably didn't touch on is we're huge dance and electronic fans. We've been to numerous festivals together. So we're just really, really close with the music scene. And I know that's one of Matt's dreams is to be a DJ one day. Maybe we'll get there, but I felt like that was something that he hadn't done already. And I felt like, well, maybe I could be the one to start into it. He was already deep into his YouTube career. I didn't have anything going on outside of, school and soccer and friends. Why don't I get into the music space and try to get that head start for us? That ended after one day of looking into FL Studios, whatever it is. I forget what the program was called, but it was gibberish to me and I gave up right away. So I felt like if I had to move forward in the creative space, it had to be something with Matt. Like I had to work with Matt. And so the first thing I thought of was let me try to make some money by helping him edit his YouTube videos. And to start, I didn't know how to edit, so I had to self-teach myself. And the way I did that was I went on YouTube, looked up soccer highlight videos, dragged it into Final Cut Pro, and basically played around with it, tried to redo the highlights, make my own videos that way. So another thing that I think maybe Matt didn't touch on so much is we are extremely DIY people. If we need to know something, we're going on YouTube and trying to troubleshoot and figure it out ourselves. So I was doing that day in and day out, finding YouTube videos, downloading them, bringing them into Final Cut, and just trying to chop it up and get better. And then I started doing some of Matt's YouTube videos, and I kind of lost interest and faded out and went back to my scene in soccer and friends and stuff like that. And then college rolled around. I went to University of Tampa, as Matt mentioned, and I played college soccer there. So at that point, I kind of drifted out of the creative space again, went there as a sports management major, pretty much dedicated my full life to school and soccer. And it's a lot. If you know what college sports are, it's a full-time job. You're up early in the morning. It's a true grind, and then you're tired and you do it again the next day. So that on top of getting good grades in school, I was very busy and I just didn't have a passion for anything else. Um, until until the one point where somebody on the team wanted to make a video. And so I figured, hey, in the past I had done some editing work, this and that. I've actually made a few edits in the past with a couple friends, but nothing major. And so I ended up buying a GoPro, and we made a video on the soccer field together, just myself and the team, my freshman year. Simple GoPro video. Went back to the room, threw it in Final Cut, chopped it up, posted it on Instagram, and everybody loved it. The team loved it. I had people commenting from UT that I didn't even know. I ended up making new friends from it. It was just a really feel good thing for me to put something out on the internet or social media rather and just have, positive reaction, positive feedback. and people
Yeah.
wanted to be in the next video. So that was my first kind of spark into the creative space, and I was like, oh, like this is awesome, this is fun. I can do this. Because in the past, it's always been Matt. Matt was always filming the stuff. He was always editing it. We made summer highlight videos. You know, some of the best videos to date Matt has made. And so I wanted to get into that space just so that maybe after college we could find something that we could work together on, and be together again. Because he was out in LA and I was still in Tampa for school. So that kind of dominoed, and I ended up switching my major very quickly from sports management over to film and media at University of Tampa. Switched over to the Adobe suite, got really interested in it, started editing in Premiere, upgraded the equipment to our first camera, which was like a Sony A7S III. And I would bring that back to the Jersey Shore, where we have a A7S II, where we'd bring that back to the shore and just shoot all this stuff and just throw it in a timeline and get messy with it. So that kind of trailed on for the next couple of years. And I really set myself apart from the class when I realized that I was only going to get so far if I just waited for the teacher to tell me what to do and to learn that way. So I began, going by myself, shooting out on the weekends down in Dunedin, Florida. Just whatever I could shoot, I was doing outside of the classroom, and that really set me ahead. I was watching YouTube videos on how to edit. Some of my favorite videos ever are from actually Ultra Music Festival, which is a festival that Matt and I have been to several times. So I would rewatch those YouTube videos over and over and over again and just get inspired by other people's work. And so that's kind of the big thing for me is I watch something and then I try to do it myself and then I get better. So it's trial and error that way. And everybody in the classroom was just waiting to do the next project that they didn't want to do. So it was always about getting that next step, that next leg up, going into class and just doing higher elevated work than the rest of the group. And that really did set me apart. After a couple years, we started to think about doing a company together because I started doing client work outside of school, making money that way. And actually, my senior year of school, I stopped playing soccer and went full time into video production and to editing. So right out of school, when I graduated, I actually worked for a local company called Diamond View, and we did stuff with the Atlanta Braves. We did stuff for USF. They're working with very high scale clients, and I was sitting there day in and day out, editing, editing, editing. And if you don't know, if you don't edit your own videos, I promise you to sit in a chair and to edit day in and day out and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. It is one of the most difficult things I've ever done to
Soul
bring that
sucking,
creative
bro.
space. It's
Soul
soul
sucking.
sucking. You have to bring everything with you, the creative, everything to perform day in and day out. And I was getting paid $15 an hour, sitting in a chair editing Braves playoff commercial edits for $15 an hour. Um, and yeah, it
Hmm.
was my first year there. I was thrilled to be working on, professional sports editing. Like, what a dream! I'm a huge sports fan, but $15 an hour. My brother's across the country. We can do this together. We can do something together, and you know, build something of our own. And so I would sit there every day and text him and be like, "Listen, you know, we're doing great stuff, but you know, we should be together. We should work on something together. Like that's what we're meant to do." And so I basically packed the bags and moved out to Los Angeles. So I flew across the country, brought my whole life there with me, and I lived with Matt for several years, building team playback together. And very very proud of that. We've worked with from knowing absolutely nobody because Matt was doing YouTube stuff out in LA, and we didn't have production relationships out there set up for us. I basically went out there, blank slate, starting from true scratch in 2019, and it was slow to start, but 3 months into it, got some clients, and then COVID hit. So I had
Yeah.
moved across the country. We got started, and then a pandemic started. So everything got wiped out. I mean, literally, we had months where it was $0 for production business, sort of thing. Um, but the one thing we were fortunate about is we started doing a YouTube channel. About a month earlier, we started doing the Team Playback YouTube channel, which at the time was our golden goose. We wanted that to be like the business. Aside from the production stuff, we wanted the production, the production client work to fund our own YouTube channel for Team Playback. So that was our big thing. We used the YouTube space out in LA. We filmed for a couple days and we had a ton of content. So when the pandemic started, I was just editing away, going crazy on that. We posted some videos. They did extremely well. And we were just waiting out the storm for clients to come back in. And unfortunately, I think that LA YouTube space shut down. So we got stuck with a situation where we were filming at the studio. I think it was free at the time. Matt had a
Mhm.
YouTube channel we were able to use that. They had equipment there. We're using it for free. So it was very cost effective for starting something out like a YouTube channel. And that was ripped right under from our feet. So it was taken away from us, and we had to make a decision to either move forward and pay an absurd amount of money for a studio each day to film, or to go forward with something else. And I think ultimately we decided that the production business at that time started ramping up very quickly, and that was probably more of a promising path than going back to something like a YouTube channel. At the time, that was the plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we were doing that for a while, and Matt was doing YouTube channels, and I think one of the things that is probably important to mention is while Matt and I do work together all the time, we often work on separate projects, and that's because it would make no sense for him to be fully focused on Team Playback and just the production stuff when he's had this incredible career in YouTube and has all this expertise, and he's still doing channels in that space. So he's been more so our director of YouTube. Oh, that reminds me. We tried to start a YouTube management company so that Matt could bring in clients, teach them how to do YouTube stuff, work on their channels, give them sort of a content roadmap, and then also use our production business to actually film stuff for the YouTuber. So we were trying to use both angles of Matt's knowledge of YouTube and our resources with production to, come up with a YouTube management business. That worked for a while, but I think that started to fizzle out, especially since I ended up moving out of LA and back to Florida. But we did that for a while. Team Playback is still going strong to this day, and currently I'm back in Florida. Matt's in LA, and we're doing our thing. Uh, what did I miss, Matt? I feel like there's probably a tail end there that I probably missed.
I mean, yeah. We've done a lot of things. Some of them have been short, some of them have been long, but as you can probably tell, like there's a lot of ideas and a lot of pivots when things just don't pan out, whether it's a pandemic or
Right.
things don't go how we want them to, or we're decide like Mike decided he wanted to move back to Tampa because that's where he thinks he belongs, which is I support that fully, but that definitely makes it a little interesting in terms of doing shoots out here as a team. I think
Mhm.
one of the things, like in terms of Team Playback, we had this vision obviously to do the YouTube channel and do our own content because we like to make our own thing instead of always working for a client. But at the same time, we also wanted to grow our traditional production side of things where we do music videos, brand content, commercials, whatever it is, and grow a team and build like an actual studio.
Right.
And so we had at one point we had 6 people on the team, and then we've kind of lowered it back down to just 3 of us at this point. But um, I think it's like an ebb and flow kind of thing with all the businesses we have. It's really we're adapting to whatever we think is the most uh, passionate and important thing at the moment.
Right. That makes sense. Maddie, any questions on Mike's journey? Before we kind of move, because we've already hit the 45-minute mark, so I want to be cognizant of where we're at in this beautiful Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I want to be cognizant of time as well. I would just say this. So it sounds like you've tried a bunch of different things, and there's like you said, like Matt said, there's been a lot of pivots. Um, do you feel like that is now something you guys, because here's the thing, you hear a lot of successful entrepreneurs talk about the ability to recognize when something's working or not working and make fast decisions and whatnot. Do you feel like all of this experience has helped you guys get better at that? So that way the things you are doing now are much more refined and kind of they flow better? Would you say that's something that's the case?
Yeah, I think so. And I think perhaps the bigger thing is, are we enjoying it? Like that's the question that Matt and I are
Mm,
always asking each other is, are we having fun doing this? Like, is it worth doing this? Are we still passionate about it? Do we want to do this? I think both of us want to wake up in the morning and feel like we want to attack the day. We want to be working on stuff that we feel like, is exciting and new and fresh. Not to say that we just give up on stuff when it gets old and boring, because along the way, of course, there's going to be times where you feel like you don't want to do it anymore, or you need a break, or you're burned out. But I think both of us having a relationship of being open with that and talking with each other and saying, hey, like, is this something that I still want to do or see myself doing for the next few weeks, years? I think it's an open dialogue and something that we probably come together on and just talk about it and say, like, hey, is this worth moving forward with? So I think that's probably where I'm at with everything that we do. More than financially, it's more about, do we want to do it? Are we passionate about it still?
I like that
All right.
feedback. One question I have, because I always like to hear this from athletes. I played tennis just my freshman year of college because I decided I wasn't going to be Andre Agassi. I realized that early on. What did the impact of that whole sports culture life in college have on you? Do you think it's helped mind a specific mindset? Anything to reflect there on your experiences as a college athlete?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've ever been in Florida when it's summertime, but it is extremely humid. So we had preseason during August of every year, and those were
Mm.
double sessions in just the absolute brutal heat of the Florida sun, humid as could be. I mean, they put us through a lot. And so you never forget those moments where you feel like you're at the brink of what you can do, and there's somebody there pushing you harder. So I think the mentality that being a college athlete, um, put me through all of those times definitely stick with me. And so whether it's a tough time in the business or tough time just messing around with somebody else in sports that I still play, I think it's just the mentality that they really drill in you. Um, Sticks with you for a while. And I think Matt can probably attest to it. I'm a bully sometimes, but I think it's about just the mindset that they give you in sports, and just to tough it up, throw dirt on it, and move on.
I
Yeah,
like
I would say
it.
that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
He's
I've
gotten very thick skin, a hard shell.
that thick skin's turned into a hard shell in a good way, though, right? You make things happen and not
Yeah,
be deterred.
there's not a lot that bothers Mike.
Yeah. And that is the thing that this comes up time and time again. And yeah, literally Maddie and I had this conversation this morning is, dude, you put in so much work. I mean, we've been streaming for 3 years now, right? And it's just like we know the quality, the content and the quality is there, but it's just frustrating when it doesn't move as fast as you want. And you got to have thick skin around that. And you've talked to that too, Matt. And not only is it thick skin, but pivoting. Matt, Mike, any other things to add on to kind of the holistic conversation we've had about this episode one? It's been awesome to hear both of your experiences, a lot of overlap as well, but anything about, impacts from family or something you've learned at a younger age that kind of still sticks in your mind today as to why the way you are?
I'd say our parents definitely have a huge effect on the way we are right now. They've been unbelievably supportive. Um, Even though they're a bit pessimistic at first with a lot of this stuff we've done, they don't really understand the stuff.
Right.
I guess more specifically, the stuff that I have done to start with, like the YouTube thing and even NFTs. Um, but ultimately, they have been extremely supportive and have been unbelievably helpful. And I think that encouragement and understanding that no matter what we want to try, even if we fail, they're going to have our back. I think that's you can't discredit that at all. You
Right.
know,
Oh,
so I'd say they have a massive impact on how fortunate and how like strong-minded I think we've become.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. And I mean, having support networks, everything, man. If you're all alone, it's nearly impossible. And to have, like you said, both your parents are accountants. They're probably super risk averse or risk averse.
Yes.
And when you're saying you want a $200 video card, they're like, "What the hell are you trying to do with your life?"
Yeah.
I
And
Uh,
think
then
the other thing though is it's easier to say like now that things have been going well for us and we've been successful in some things, it's easier to support that. I think what they did best was when they raised us, you know, they made sure we got good grades. And I don't think it was about getting the right grade. I think it was about the discipline of getting a good grade and caring and the commitment to that. So I think growing up, it was just molded into us. The character that we've become is so much about what they did growing up. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is like them caring about us, what we did growing up really has a lasting effect to what we do now.
right.
That's a great point, man. Great point. Let me ask you guys this. Um, some people will say things, it's funny because Mike and I are, lifelong friends, and people will say, "Ooh, be careful getting into business with a friend." You guys you're in business with family. Any thoughts surrounding that?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
uh, I have been in business with friends sometimes, and I will say it. I actually think I think it's easier with Mike than it is with friends.
Mm.
But I think that's because we've always been really, really. I mean, we've always been best friends, and we've always been able to talk things out. I think like the competition is one example I could give. Like there is no question that whatever we do, it's going to be competitive, um,
Mm.
especially with sports. And I think with business, it's kind of like it's great because we're playing on the same team now. We both want to win,
Yeah.
but we don't have to compete anymore. We're rooting for the same thing. So like I think it's a little easier to just have that kind of discussion and uh we're in this together. It's like we're all going for the same goal here. So if you win, I win, and if I win, you win.
Yeah,
I think that's made it a lot easier to do business with family than maybe you traditionally hear.
right.
And I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think it would work with everyone. Like if I did a business with another family member, I can't imagine it would work at all.
Yeah.
But
Mike,
this has worked so far. So hard. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna just say, Mike, any thoughts to add there to Matt?
Yeah. No, I mean he kind of touched on most of it. I'd say the one other thing that might work in our favor is while we do enjoy so much of the same things, I'd say our character is a bit different. Not so much a good cop, bad cop thing, but like we are different. He's much more patient than I am. I'm much more like let's go, go, go. So that balancing act, or opposites attract. So that balancing act of him being like, let's slow things down, let's think about this, and me being like, no, we need to hop on this right now. We need to get on this. I think that that's been a really good balance and has worked to our strength, I guess, over time. But I think that's if we were both the same exact person, I think that might get on our nerves. But the fact that we're coming at it from different angles usually is good.
That is a good point.
Yeah. Well, I think you bring up the two things that Maddie and I talk about, and because the same back to Robert Greene's 48 Rules of Power, rule number 10: never start a company or business with friends or family, because but there's a caveat. If you can do it, it creates some of the most amazing outcomes ever, right? But
Yeah.
a majority of the people can't do it. But the two things that you touch on, Maddie and I talk about this all the time, is one, transparency. It's the friends and family, you get very comfortable or you don't want to offend somebody. But if you can treat a friend as a business partner as well, as long as you can continue to do that, you're going to be okay. But once you fall into the gap of like feelings are going to get hurt, then you start going down that slippery slope. And then the second part is Matt and I call this stuff all the time. We call each other yin and yang, right? I'm the creative guy. Matt is the very analytical guy. And being able to complement each other in that way, to your point, Mike, if you're the same people, it can get rough really quick.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
And
And our clients know it too. They know that we have very different ways of handling situations, and it's worked. I think it's worked really well.
yeah,
because there'll be times when we're having, we're discussing whatever it is with a client, and Mike will be way more like fighting for what we should be doing, and I'm more like, like I don't, like I want to make sure they're taken care of, and like I don't know, like I don't want to upset them. But it's a really good balance, because if we
Yeah.
were both one way or the other, I think it would be significantly less optimal
Right.
for the businesses we've run. Yeah.
100%. Maddie, any thoughts before we move on?
No, it's well said, man. And Mikey and I have the exact same dynamic, right? I mean, if it was all Mike, we'd have 8,000 things we were doing at once, and we'd be spinning our wheels.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it was all me, I'd be planning 8,000 things, and we wouldn't even be in first gear. And so, it's just you got to have that balance, right? I mean, Mike pushes me to actually, okay, let's pull the trigger and let's just say yes and see what happens. And like that is just difficult for me. Because it's like, what do you mean? We don't have a plan, We don't know if it's going to work. There's no data. Give me data points. You know what I mean? How do I can't extrapolate anything from this. And then and to Mike's, return, it's like, well, wait a second, man. We don't even know what's around this corner. Maybe we should like just take a second here and and look at what's happening before we just jump out in the middle of the road. So I think it's been a good balance.
Gung ho, baby. Let's fucking do it. Yesterday. I'm
And
in.
he's been that way, by the way, for 30 plus years. That is exactly how Mike is. So
It's the best. That's just how I think,
it's good.
man. So let's move on to, you kind of did 1 and 2 together. You talked about childhood, you talked about the influences, you talked about really, I would say episode 2 is forming the production company, because that's what, 4 years ago now.
Mhm.
Let's move into Web3. And Matt, I know you have built YouTube presences within the crypto Web3 space. So let's start talking about, how did you find Web3 crypto, and give us that first quick version of up till ChopParty, because then we can spend a majority of the time talking about ChopParty. But I don't want to miss out on that early episode of Web3
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I'll leave some parts for Mike to talk about, because he's definitely got a big part in this as well. But my first run in with crypto is actually my roommate in college. Lives in LA, and I lived with him here for 6 months after I graduated, and he started a Bitcoin mining company in 2015 or 16, I think. And at the time, I had absolutely no clue what he was doing. Like, I had no idea what Bitcoin was, didn't understand it at all, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna keep doing YouTube. You do your thing. I actually wanted him to partner with me on this channel that hit 1 million. It was like a business idea at the time, like, hey, this is an idea. I think it's gonna blow up. Do you wanna like invest with me and like run this thing with me? And he's like, nah, I'm doing this other thing, which I didn't understand at all.
Right.
So he did his thing, I did my thing. Turns out they both worked out in their own way. But he's actually still running that Bitcoin mining company. It's doing quite well. But that was my first acknowledgement of what this thing was. I didn't understand it, but I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say in 2017, when things were going nuts, when Bitcoin hit 21,000, you were seeing it all over the news. You were hearing about it. One of our friends was actually mining Bitcoin off of his computer. Ended up mining like almost 10 Bitcoin, and it was worth $200,000. And was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, is he going to sell it? But again, wasn't interested enough to like actively pursue and research it. And so it kind of just faded out. I was like, it faded out. Like, it was just a fad, whatever. Then in 2020, I'm pretty sure it was Mike who got me back into this kind of like crypto train. I think because of the pandemic, we were doing all kinds of stuff that you could do from home, like hopping on Robinhood and looking at stocks and like just seeing what we could do to make money or what was interesting, playing a lot of video games, streaming a lot, like just doing all kinds of different stuff because you didn't really have anywhere else to go. So, and we got really interested in these YouTube channels that were talking about Bitcoin and what it was going to do and how it was going to do a repeat of 2017. And so I finally started doing research and trying to understand how it works. And it took a while. I don't think I was very keen to how the whole process of the halving works, and just the whole formula behind what Bitcoin is. But one thing led to another, and I'll let Mike tell more about that kind of that kind of part of the thing. But I got so deep down the rabbit hole of crypto that I found NFTs,
Mm-hmm.
which is like super degen mode. If you're, I think that's like the path most people have, right? They're like, oh, I like trading stocks. This is pretty
Right.
cool. And they're like, but creating crypto is even more crazy. It's even more like a game. And then if you get really nuts, you go and find NFTs, and it's like, this is like the most degen behavior you can pretty much find outside of maybe like trading 10x leverage options or something. So
Right.
I found these NFTs, and the timing was great. It was perfect. I'm flying home to New Jersey where my parents are, and my brother Mike was flying to Jersey as well. Actually, I guess we were still living here at the same time at that point, but we flew back to Jersey for the summer. And the day we landed, there was the first NFT drop that I was interested in like trying to mint. I'd never minted anything before. I didn't even know what I was doing, but there was this project called Great Ape Society,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at 7 p.m. and we landed at like 4 p.m. And I will never forget this because it's like a PVR story. We're in the car on the way home from the airport, and we were supposed to have dinner with the family at like 7:30. And I was like, "Hey, I gotta do this thing. I wanna like do this thing." I wasn't saying what it was because I didn't even want to have to explain it, but I was like, I got this thing I gotta do before dinner. Can I do it quickly before we go?" And Mike was pissed. I don't know why. I still don't know why. Maybe he'll tell me now, but he was absolutely pissed that I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna like postpone this dinner sort of for the whole family because I want to mint this NFT." And it ended up working out. I ended up minting the thing, and I actually sold them for some good profit. But that was my first experience with NFTs. And after I did it, I told I told my dad and the family about it. And I'll never forget this moment as well. We're sitting on the porch outside. It's my brother, my dad, and myself. And I'm explaining to them how these NFT things work, at least to my knowledge at that point, which is probably not very good. And even though Mike was interested in crypto and believer in a crypto at that point, I guess this didn't my explanation didn't translate very well, but both of them were basically laughing me off the porch once again because they're like, "This shit's stupid. Like, doesn't make any sense. Don't really understand it. You're crazy." I think at that point I had bought a Dogepound NFT, which is my first like real purchase, and I think I spent like $8,000 on it at that time. It's like 2.6 ETH, which was I think somewhere around 8 grand at the point. So obviously they were like, you're out of your mind. You bought this shitty cartoon dog for 8 grand. Like, what are you doing?" And once again, I think my intuition was strong enough where it did work out. I mean, obviously things right now are not in the best spot, but all in all, I think that interest in a new space and the willingness to go and just see how it works and dive in head first and maybe fail and maybe lose a bunch of money and maybe look like an idiot.
Yeah.
It ended up working out. It ended up working out big time because we ended up doing all kinds of stuff. I ended up creating a YouTube channel off of that, just like I do with everything else. Shocker. And then the YouTube channel led to, hey, like people really like the videos, but they want even more like one-on-one time with me and learning about how this shit works. So I opened up a Discord and people joined the Discord. And next thing I know, I have a Patreon and people are paying $10, $30 a month this Patreon, and it's starting to fill up quickly. Like we have like 500 members in a matter of 2 months. And so that blew up, and that became what was now my alpha group. Which is just people that wanted more information, more, like more I guess alpha on what NFTs were coming out, what I was buying, what I was looking at, how I was doing this stuff. And so I met some people in the Discord group, in the alpha group, and I was talking to them. I was like, "Hey, I would love to do this thing where you have like Chrome extension that can tell me all of my NFT purchases and sales and how much I spent and how much I lost, how much I made, profit loss, and then my gas transactions and all that factored in. Because right now I'm buying and selling stuff every day and I have no idea where I'm at overall.
Right.
Like I know I made a couple hundred on this one, I lost a couple hundred on that one. I kind of have a clue, but I don't really know where I'm at. And I don't have time, or I didn't have I was too lazy to go and like map it all out because there's so many fees involved. There's gas, there's transaction fees, there's royalty fees, there's all kinds of stuff. It changes constantly. So it's like, I don't want to put up with that. I just want to buy and sell. I want to do my thing. So I put that out to the world in the Discord group, and these guys came back and said, "Hey, I want to show you something. So I went on a call with them. They're from Estonia. So I went on a call with them at like 12 a.m. Everyone else in the house was asleep, but we were still in New Jersey at this point. Got on a call with them and they showed me this like application they had built that was basically a lot of the things I wanted in this idea of a Chrome extension, but significantly better than what I expected it to be. I stayed up for the next 3 hours on a call with these guys. So I think 3 or 4 a.m. Eastern time, just going through their app with them and like asking questions and bouncing ideas off each other. Then I tried to go to bed after that and I couldn't. I couldn't fall asleep. I had like a billion ideas running through my head because I was like, this is it. Like this is the perfect idea where I can step in and be huge value because they've already built something that I can't build, but I have something that they don't have, which is this marketing and this like social media angle to it.
Yeah.
So you put us together, and I could see this being like a really exceptional project here. So I spent another like 2 hours writing down just a huge document of ideas and questions for them and thoughts and just try to get all of my ideas that I was thinking that I couldn't fall asleep with onto a piece of paper. And I did. And then I was able to go to bed and finally fall asleep. And I woke up super late and I got a bunch of shit for it because they're like, oh, you slept through the whole day, you bum. I'm like, no, actually, like last night was probably one of the best nights I've had in a long time. Like this was like a brain blast, bro. It was a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, and I loved every moment of it. So that idea, that kind of conversation is what sparked what would become NFT HUD. And I told Mike about it, and I think at the time Mike didn't really understand NFTs as much, but he got more interested because I was like, I think pretty passionate about it, and I'll let him kind of tell his perspective on that. But that's where we left off last year. So I did the alpha group and NFT HUD all of last year. The first 6 months of the year were, I would say, the hardest I've ever worked in my life, to the point where it was probably unhealthy. Actually, definitely unhealthy. Later at the end of last year, I feel like I finally felt the effects of what I was doing in the beginning half of the year, where I wasn't eating properly. I was kind of like just work, and not really giving myself time to think about anything I was doing. Kind of just like it was just go mode constantly. And I don't regret it at all. I think that's the right move, but I think I could have done it in a more healthy and efficient way, so I didn't burn out so hard at the end of last year. Because as things started to crash, I kind of had like a what the hell am I doing moment. Like I know I like doing this stuff, but I like now that I'm not constantly going all the time, I have a chance to think, and I haven't really processed a lot of the thoughts that I should have been processing. So that's kind of brings us up to today. So I'll let Mike fill in the gaps where I left some gaps there, and he definitely has a different perspective than I do. So I'd love to let him share.
No, that I would love to hear that. And just to add on quick, we can't tell you how many people have come on the show and said that exact last part. We actually, we've had Dex from, I'm sure you remember, Phantom Network, and he's been on a couple times, and he worked himself till the point where he collapsed in his apartment. So lots of people are going through that last year. It's pretty wild.
Hey, Mikey, I got to step away for just like 10 seconds.
No problem. All right, Mike, I want to hear your side of the story, and please comment on why you were so pissed off that Matt pushed the dinner back as well. Please tell this story, please.
It's wild. It's wild. I do remember being pissed, and just to touch on that, I remember being pissed in a car, and I don't know what it was, but I think it was we were supposed to go play pickleball, and he was like the fourth player. And I'm as you know, I'm a big sports guy. So we're gonna go play pickleball with the family. We got 4 set up. It's gonna be a good game. And then he bailed because he had to go do this mint. And I didn't understand it at that point. Nobody understood it. So I think that's just where the frustration came from. Maybe we were hungry coming from the airport, long day. I'm not sure, but I think that might have been part of it. Was we were supposed to do something, and his mint just got in the way of it.
Dude, bailing out on a pickleball game is
come on.
Pretty big deal. I play pickleball with my family. They would not like that.
Yeah, I don't usually bail, but I just like, when I feel the passion for something, man, it's really hard to not go with it,
Yeah, Matt, I think it's just the names are opposite. I feel like our personalities
Yeah.
are similar, whereas Michael and Matt's personalities are similar. But well, at least thanks for dropping the knowledge that it was more likely not the dinner, but the pickleball game. Get it? Totally understand it now.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. I might be confusing it, but I think that might be what it was. Um, just to touch on the stuff that Matt was saying about ripping on them. What's the saying? Like first they laugh at you, then they join you.
yeah,
That's been pretty much the case for a lot of stuff that Matt's done in his career.
yeah,
I think one of the things that we could point out is he's usually first to the game on a lot of things, and him being early is a big reason why he's had success in his YouTube career. So props for that. He's always the one leading the way, finding new stuff to do. He's a true entrepreneur. So he's always had that knack for finding something before others really get into it. So it was no different with NFTs. I promise you. He dragged me into that game, and I'll kind of get there. But I think, just as Matt said, it all started with the pandemic where everybody became a stock market wizard. Everybody was on YouTube, or I'm sorry, everybody was on Robinhood, looking at stocks where they were at home, nothing else to do. That's pretty much where the frenzy started. And I think at that point, just because we had a lot of time on our hands, I started looking into day trading, which I'm sure a lot of other people started out as. I looked up a ton of YouTube videos. I was watching that. Every night, I would wake up in the morning for market open, which in California was like 6:30 a.m. So I was getting shitty sleep, looking at the charts like true degen, like 1 minute chart, trying to trade it, just didn't work out at all. But I was learning. It was the learning stages. I was having fun with it. Um, and so I started with stocks, and I did that for a while, and then I watched a YouTube video from Jordan Lindsay. Shout out to Jordan. But I watched his video on crypto because at the time I didn't know anything about crypto at all, and he had a video on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin halving. And so I started watching his content, looked at a few of his videos. I actually might have gotten into his channel from the stock stuff. He does some stock trading videos, so he ended up posting a Bitcoin video, and I watched that and got interested. So I watched his crypto video and his predictions for the 2021 halving or whatever it was at that point, 2020. Um, and so obviously the thumbnail got me in, and I watched the video, and I was like, Matt, we gotta buy this. Like, we gotta buy this. I was telling Matt, and I was telling my other friend Alex. We had a little small stock trading chat going at that time. We gotta buy crypto. Put $100 into this thing every single day. And that was the summer of 2020 when Bitcoin was trading around $9,000, pretty much going flatline for a while over the summer there. And I was like, this is the time to get in. And at that point, one of my friend or Alex, the friend in the stock trading group, he's like, we got to buy Marathon Patent Group. Or at that time, it was like Marathon Digital, or maybe it was the other way around, but it was a mining group for Bitcoin.
yeah,
So we ended up getting interested in that stock as well, and that kind of started the frenzy of crypto and the mining stocks, which absolutely blew up at that time. We would look at Robinhood every day; it'd be up 20% in the morning. We'd just go crazy in the chat, and that just kind of fueled the fire throughout the summer.
right.
So crypto really started there, and we started DCAing into crypto, and then as you know, that fall and winter it started to really ramp up, get mainstream media, pumping to $21,000, and then it started to open the discussion for altcoins. So we were talking about Ethereum at that time. We were talking about Cardano, and I think one of Matt's friends, JC, was like, "Yo, I just bought Cardano. It was like I don't know, 15 cents at that point." And I was like, nah, I'm not getting into that. I'm just sticking with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the top dogs.
Yeah,
And like a week later, Cardano was like 40 cents, like 2x, 2.5x over a week. And I was like, oh shit. So I waited longer. I think we ended up getting in around $1 or something. But it started the whole feud of getting into altcoins, and I think at that point it just started to trickle down, getting more degen and looking at gaming coins and this and that. So that's where the inspiration started for crypto. Um, for NFTs, I think Matt was the true leader in that space. He kind of got interested before I even knew anything about it. So at that time, I knew he was starting his YouTube channel, getting into the NFT stuff, and I was too lazy to like start an OpenSea account and really look into it. because I was doing team playback stuff. That's always been my focus, is working on the production stuff and letting him be more of the entrepreneur and trying new things and seeing what other businesses we can get into. So yeah, fast forward to our beach house, and he starts doing these mints. He bought a dog for $8,000, and we're there laughing at him. Who's this fool? What is he doing? But deep down, I knew like, all right, he's probably onto something, but it's not time for me to get there yet. Like when he shows me that there's an opportunity for us to make solid money, that's when you have my attention. And so that's exactly what happened. Is one of the members in his Patreon group reached out and said, "Hey, we have this NFT platform we're making. Can we hop on a call?" And so I was like, "Yes, get on the call, get on the call, get on the call." Super interested at that point because I felt like it was something that during that time would blow up and could make potentially, a good amount of money. So I was immediately interested, and that's kind of what grabbed my attention into the NFT space. So while he was talking to these guys, I started to educate myself, what is an NFT, period, into Google, something like that, and just try to get the basics down, open an OpenSea account. And so I would kind of listen in on the conversations he was having. And at some point, we sat down and talked about it, and we're like, this is something that we should probably move forward with and give more of our attention. So I went from being 100% team playback at that time to being 100% NFT alongside Matt. We basically give it a full month, really, of everything we had. And I think my role and Matt's role was way more on the marketing side of things than actually, coding or developing the app itself. Matt was giving a ton of feedback and, you know, helping with verbiage of everything. But for the most part, our job was content and marketing. And so Matt is, a stud on Twitter. He's a stud on marketing. And so I was trying to focus more on the actual content that we were posting, alongside the graphics and stuff like that from our relationships in the production business. So it always seems to come in handy having the skills of editing and video and just knowing the content and knowing people in that space to help out with launching new brands. It's been super foundational for any new thing that we start. So at that point, we were just doing, I think Matt and I walked into another bedroom that he had, a guest bedroom, and we did a minute 30 like info video on NFT HUD. And it did really, really well. I mean, we made it in probably a week. It went over all the things that NFT featured. We put it on Twitter, and that's kind of like what sparked the big following for us on Twitter, I think. Matt was posting stuff on his YouTube at that time for NFT HUD and also Matt's crypto. So I was editing stuff for him there, just trying to chip in any way I could into the NFT space and try to be supportive in our new ventures. So that happened for a while. I think probably around a month and a half, we were doing that day in and day out, just grinding on the computers in our sweatpants, sweatshirts, just lugging around. Really, it was just hard work. Spending 10 hours on the computer. And at that point, I think it was the lead up to the Mint Day, which ended up being very successful. We launched with a group of 3,000 members. It was awesome. Um, and about a month in, I think that's where like it kind of clicked for me. I knew some stuff about NFTs, but the conversations that people were having in the chat were just above my head, and I felt like I wasn't providing a ton of value there. And so the light bulb kind of clicked off, and I said, like, the NFT space is super cool. It's innovative. It's new. How can we fuse that with something that we know extremely well? How can we provide value from the stuff that we've done for many years and also fuse it with NFTs? So that's kind of what built up and led to me initially writing down on a piece of paper the idea for ChopParty. Is I felt like I wasn't doing enough for NFT HUD, so I was like, how can I come up with something in this space that encompasses all the value and knowledge and expertise that we actually have? What can Matt and I do together in this space? So I think that's kind of what led up to the whole idea of ChopParty.
Beautiful, beautiful story. Not only did we shed light on why you were mad at your brother, you also, I like how you had the side of crypto more and Matt has the side of NFTs. One kind of question before we move on to the actual ChopParty and we can close it out that way. You have NFT HUD, now you're going to ChopParty. What are the thoughts there? Because, one of the themes is you guys have a lot of ideas and you've started a lot of projects. So how do you feel about balancing those and knowing that you made, one, for instance, we never have done an NFT yet because I feel like if I make an NFT, I got to commit my whole blood, sweat, and tear and soul to it forever. And maybe that's wrong, but that's the mindset I have. So knowing that you're starting something new, what are your thoughts about kind of, or are you not even sunsetting HUD, and what does that community look like now, and how do you balance the two? I'm interested in that.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sure Matt has his thoughts on this as well. We were, my role for NFT HUD was much more of like a community manager at some point. So I was in the chats talking with people, helping them out with the site, and being active in the team chats as well. But I didn't play a major role for
Right.
NFT HUD. I didn't play an important role where I was crucial to the team. So at that point, that's why I kind of, you know, put half of my attention into creating something where I felt like I could be important and bring a ton of value in. So I was building that on the side of also chipping in, doing my part, and making sure, I held up my role in NFT HUD for the time that it lasted. I think Matt would probably explain much better than I could the transition out from NFT HUD and, why we moved on.
Yeah, let's hear about that, and then we'll move
Yeah.
into ChopParty.
Yeah, so at the moment we don't actually have an official stake in NFT HUD anymore. Mike and I have officially moved on, although we'll always support the project and we'll
Right.
always be, part of the community, and we're still in the team chat with the devs, and like anything they need, we would be down to help them with because they're amazing people. But the thing is with NFT HUD is when they created it, and I want to be very clear, like I had no part in coding this thing. Like the developers that came up with NFT HUD are really the backbone of that whole project because they had I had the same idea they did, but they built it, and I'm not capable of building it. My contribution was really getting this great product out to the world, getting
Gotcha.
this great, this great service platform, whatever you want to call it, out to the right people. And I think I succeeded in that. And Mike definitely helped a huge part of that. I think he's
Right.
underselling himself here a little bit, but uh, the key thing to know is that they built it in September of 2021.
Mhm.
And at that time, the NFT, at least to my, perspective on it, NFTs were really just starting to kind of come up a bit. And they built it off of OpenSea APIs, which at the time was fine. But as
Right.
things started to blow up, that really did not work at a foundational level for the platform. It just like the amount of traffic and the amount of data they were putting together. I don't think people ever and still truly don't understand how unbelievably insane this site was. It was so much deeper and so much more informational than anything else I had used at that point, and it wasn't even close. But I don't think it ever got that kind of recognition. The problem was that they built it on this like it's like building a mansion on stilts.
Right.
Like they built it off of OpenSea APIs, which is very limiting because if the APIs are, not working to your level, you can build whatever you want on top of it. It's not going to work very well.
Yeah.
So over time, they had to keep putting band-aids on this, foundation they had built because you at that point there's like 3 or 4 people on the team as terms of coders, and you're trying to support an ongoing site with thousands of users, constant updates. The grind to continue to perform for the community is quite high. So there wasn't a real chance to go back and kind of like rewrite the foundation of this thing. So over the course of last year, we had several tough discussions as a team, Mike, myself included, about what the best way to move forward from this situation was. And they suggested that we need to shut it down, spend 3 months rebuilding it off of like directly off of nodes, off of the network, instead of using a platform's APIs. Like we need to build it from scratch in a way that we control everything and can limit or expand, the ceiling of bandwidth as we need. And so we came to the difficult decision of like, hey, the best option here is, unfortunately, is to shut it down for 3 months, rebuild the whole thing, and relaunch it with a forward-thinking, game plan.
Right.
Because there was also a lot of things that were built, like rarity ranks and a lot of early tools that just aren't really relevant anymore. Not completely irrelevant, but not nearly as relevant, right? Like people aren't buying and selling off of a top 1,000 rarity rank item anymore.
Right.
It's just not really happening like that anymore. But early days, like that was if you had a
Yeah.
top 10%, like that increased the value of your NFT significantly.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to rebuild this thing forward thinking. And we decided that the best thing to do would be to give all of the holders access to comparable tools. So I was able to kind of set up a deal with Alpha Sharks, which is also another great tool,
Yep.
where all of our holders were able to get, or all of our active holders were able to get access for all the downtime that NFT HUD was offline being rebuilt. And
Nice.
so that was from roughly September, October of last year to probably like very early January of this year.
Yeah.
Just about 3.5 months, I would say. And we actually were able to get several other tools that came forward and said like, hey, like we want to give your users access. They all wanted to have, that user base to try out their tools, which worked out really well. We were able to give our users a lot of options to use in the downtime.
Yeah.
But the developers, we decided that, hey, like you guys have a vision for this moving forward. And like Mike was saying earlier, we don't necessarily have the most to contribute here. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we can have a lot of great ideas and really help get this thing out there. But at the core of it, like you guys are building the tools that are the foundation and the real value, and we just have no way to help in that endeavor. So why don't we take ourselves out of the picture, let you guys have full control creatively and every other way that you want to with this project, and we will help all the way up to the point where you guys are ready to launch a second one, and then we'll step aside and we'll be supporters from the sideline in any way that you want. I'm still planning on making a video showcasing this new platform they're building. They're still kind of rolling out new features, but
Right.
that was kind of the move away for us right there. And that also allowed us to say, hey, we don't this is the conversation we had, and I was talking about this earlier. Too many ideas and too many focuses is not a good thing.
Yes.
Even if they're all really doing well and they're all great, which I think a lot of these have been, we recognize that if we wanted to launch ChopParty and we wanted to do as well as we think it can, and we want to give it our all, we have to be all in. And so that was also a huge decision for us to say, this is better in your hands because you guys have built this thing and you guys are really good at it. And we want to work on something that we think we can be really valuable towards. And so that's what we've decided to do. We kind of stepped away from that, and we're working fully on ChopParty at the moment. Obviously, we're still doing team playback stuff,
Right.
but I think what you'll see here in a second when we talk about it a little bit more is that the production stuff literally goes hand in hand with this, and
Yeah.
it would be very stupid of us to stop doing that production stuff to focus entirely on this because they are like synonymous. It's like if you're a teacher at a college, university, or at a university, it probably is a good idea to keep doing what you're teaching so you're up to date on all the latest stuff in your industry. Because if you just start teaching it and you're there for 20 years teaching, you probably don't know what you're teaching anymore. There's probably better ways to do the things that you're teaching. So
Right.
that's the same thing with this. Like we got to be in the weeds. And I also think there's also a lot of other relationship and connection based things that are going to come from us being in the field still and working on this at the same time. They're going to be super valuable to the people in this project.
100%. So let me ask you this one question, and we'll go straight to ChopParty. But I'm interested to hear it from both of you. You had a successful NFT launch, sold out. That experience up till severing ties, saying, "Hey, that makes sense for the devs." 1 to 2 things that you took from that, maybe advice for somebody that is thinking about starting a project. What would that be? You, Matt, and Mike. I'd love to hear that.
I'd say the first lesson that I learned is things change quick. Last year, we actually didn't know at the time, but we actually hit the absolute pico top of the NFT volume the week we launched. It was
Right.
January 17th. And if you look at the charts, absolute top. So the timing could not have been better for us to launch. But in the moment, you don't know that that's going to be the top. You don't even know that it's not going to be this way forever or it's going to stop so quickly. And so that's something that I've definitely learned in this space, especially things change by the minute, not by the year.
Yeah.
And that can be very challenging to navigate, especially when you are running an entire business around the very thing that's changing so fast.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge challenge and a huge learning curve, but I also think it allowed me to hit another level that I've never hit in terms of the like productive output I was giving. Um, so I would just say like just know that no matter what you're working on, things can always change. Things are not indefinite. And you have to be willing to understand that what's working now may not work later, and what's going really well now may not go well later. And having the ability to adapt and make decisions and make tough decisions is really important, no matter what you're doing. Um, I would also say the other thing I've learned is that you literally cannot be a great team. There is absolutely nothing better than having a team of people that complement each other's skill sets and having good communication. If you have that, you can pretty much tackle anything you want. You
Mm.
just pick what you want to do and do it, because having a great team is just unbelievably valuable. It's so much better than doing things on your own that I can't even get out the words to describe the difference between the two things. And so if you're trying to build something, whether it's an NFT or even a YouTube channel or a video production business or whatever it is you're trying to, any kind of business really, surround yourself with people that are really good at stuff you're not good at, and then learn how to communicate and benefit each other in that business. And I think you'll have a unbelievable amount of success no matter what you're doing.
I love it, man. Great advice. Really good tips. Mike, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll kind of keep it short, but I think it kind of piggybacks on what Matt said. Um, be very careful of what you promise. Be very careful of what you
Mm.
promise
Mm.
to people who want to be in your project. Oh, did we lose somebody?
Lost
Oh,
Matt.
we might have lost Matt. The
Matty.
stream's gonna get a little screwed up, but go ahead. We only. Oh,
Oh, he's
he's
back.
back. He's back.
No worries.
You're back, buddy.
Yeah, so just be very careful about what you promise. If anything, under promise instead of over promise is probably the
Mm-hmm.
better route to go. I think if I had to put an exact finger on something, it would be the fact that we did NFT HUD as a lifetime pass. What does lifetime mean? How long is that? What's the
Oh.
obligation there? So I think one of the biggest things that we took from that is, one, we're never doing lifetime again, because it wouldn't make sense for us to put ourselves in that position and be obligated to do something for the rest of our lives if we wanted to hold up to that. And two, just rethink about, because things change so fast. In a year's time, NFTs might look way different than they do right now. So let's really consider what we're doing here and put it, a smart timetable out there instead of just throwing out a lifetime sort of thing.
I bring this up more often than my community wants me to, but this theme comes up so much on this show. And Am from Antonym being the poster child. And they were really doubling down on that whole phygital thing, right? We're going to give you an NFT and we're going to send you this physical doll. And people thought this shit was coming like the week after an NFT, because, we all know people in Web3 think that it's just magically going to poof when you still got to work with Web2 traditional companies and shit takes a while to produce. And his number one advice, hands down, was do not promise anything. That was his exact same thing. He was like, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't even talk about the dolls, to be honest, because he said those things just burned us. So yeah, great advice. So let's segue into, Matt, I'll let you take it away. We're at ChopParty now. We've gone through a magical journey already. Believe it or not, we've been talking for almost 2 hours, so we've gone a little bit over, but I still want to give time. Let's say next take, 10 to 20 minutes, if that's cool with you, talk about ChopParty, and then we'll close it out. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Remember, Mike, we started like 15 minutes late, so
We
got time.
did. That is true. Okay, so yeah, let's take it away. Let's get going on ChopParty, Matt.
Yeah, I honestly feel like Mike should take this one. It is his poster child. It's his
All right,
idea.
let's do it.
And I think I'd be doing a disservice to not let him
Yeah,
take it away.
I want to know what you wrote on that napkin. That's what I want to know.
Matt shot it down initially.
Oh shit. Oh shit. That's fighting words.
He really didn't. He really didn't. He just he added a few things to it, and he's like, I don't really know. Actually, this was his words. I don't know if education works for NFTs. That's what he told me
Ooh.
initially. He said, "I don't know if education would work for NFTs," and I was like, I was a little depressed because obviously I had written this whole thing. I was like, my master plan, pitched it to Matt. He shot it down a little bit, but he ended up coming around to it very quickly. I feel like after I explained what it would be, I think to start, I just had it as an editor's course. So I wanted the entire NFT group to be around just editing, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was most familiar with, and felt like Matt could tag along with that as well. But then he said, let's make it more like a creator based thing. Let's do more than just editing. To find the amount of people in the industry that are just interested in editing is probably very, very small. Let's open it up to YouTube. Let's open it up to creating an NFT project and then put all those things together into a creator community. So I think that's where Matt really shaped what Chop Party was initially, and then we kind of attacked it from that point. Um, the journey of Chop Party. So the first thing I did was reach out to two of my closest friends in the industry that I trust their work. I follow their work. They inspire me. And I basically told them, I was like, I need you guys on board with this, or I'm probably not going to go through with it. And so those two guys, Nick and Ben, are the two experts that taught a lot of the tutorials of Chop Party. So we'll start there. I'll kind of tell you what Chop Party is about, and then we'll go back to Nick and Ben. So Chop Party, in its most basic form, is a creator community. And what we're trying to do is take the knowledge and experience that all of us have over the past, 15 plus years each through film, editing, YouTube, NFTs, and package that all into curated lessons and masterclass courses. So we're starting out with launching 5 courses, 4 of them in the editing space, 1 of them with YouTube, and eventually going to launch an NFT creator course. So those courses alone, 83 lessons. 83 lessons we're launching with at Mint. Instantly, you can look up the tutorials, watch them all. You can actually go over to our landing page, chopparty.io, and see GIFs of all the tutorials listed out, previews of what they're going to look like. So everybody gets a true idea of what they're going to get instantly upon Mint for Chop Party, in terms of the tutorials. And then on top of that, we want to really emphasize the creator community. So the Discord, the exclusive Discord chat, is going to be a place where all of the experts who taught the tutorial lessons can come together, talk with the members, and just have a community who is active and answers questions. And the reason why I really want to put a focal point on that is because as an editor, I'm always coming up with issues with Premiere, having to troubleshoot, go on Google, type in, hey, how do I do this? When I can go to a community and just ping a question in a chat and get responses immediately from a group of people who are doing the same stuff and who have probably had the same error as myself. And on top of that, in the YouTube space, let's just say somebody wanted to post a thumbnail into our Discord chat. Hey guys, how does this look? How can I make this better? So it's really a community of people who are all interested in the same stuff, bouncing ideas off each other and helping each other get better at our craft. That's the creator community that we're trying to put together. So we have the tutorial lessons, the creator community. We have what we're calling a digital asset library. Our goal is to create a ton of proprietary assets for creators, like sound effects, color presets, subscribe button, animations, whatever you want. We're trying to create a library of digital assets that Chop Party members can access for free, can request stuff for us to make over the course of the year. So I think that's one of the really unique things that we're trying to do is just create a marketplace of stuff that you can only get with Chop Party, download it, and use it in your own videos. I think that's very cool. It's something that we're trying to put an emphasis on as well.
Dude.
On top of that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought you were done, but keep on going. Let's roll.
Yeah, I mean, we're really trying to pack in the value here on top of just being a masterclass community. We're trying to add other things that are interesting to creators. And I think one of those is we took I mean, obviously our NFT is going to be this really cool pineapple animation. You can see it on our landing page, but we wanted to bring in profile pictures. We felt like that could be something very cool for people who are, into this space traditionally. Even if they're into profile picture collections, this might be something that they want to, that this might be something that they resonate with, rather, with ChopParty. So we're creating customizable achievement-based profile pictures. Um, Maybe Matt can describe that a little bit better, how that might look. But we have a very cool idea for avatars for our community that they're going to be able to access over the course of the year. So that's another thing that we're doing. And then on top of that, I think just general giveaways, creative contests, stuff like that in the community that keeps people engaged with what we're doing, and can also, earn gear and stuff like that, among collabs with other projects that we're trying to bring in.
Dude, treasure trove of content, creative minds, something like playground and Disneyland. That sounds awesome. What I'm interested in is you said the long form, but I would love to hear the short form. And we like to always get this from everyone that gets on. Give me the 2-minute or less elevator pitch of exactly why, as me as a creative, Maddie and I are creatives, why do we want to be a part of this? 2 minutes or less. Hit us with that startup deck elevator pitch.
Is this Matt?
I
Or
don't
is
know.
this
Who
me?
wants to take it?
You want a mic or I'm going to take it?
I just feel like you articulate stuff better, but if you want
All
me
right,
to
I'll give it a
take
shot.
All right, let's hear it,
I think
Matt.
I think I can do it even quicker than 2 minutes. I think it's gonna be real quick. The whole purpose of ChopParty, at its core, I would say, is to eliminate years of trial and error and get exactly what you need to start your career in any creative space right away. That's what it is. You could be a beginner, you could be intermediate, you could be expert. The courses we've put together are designed for anyone along the way to get better at their craft, whether it's editing, whether it's YouTube, whether it's wanting to hop into Web3 and take all the stuff you already know and put it into a collection. Any artist, any creative, anyone who's trying to build something from nothing can come in here and monetize their creativity in a way that they can start a career much quicker than you do on your own.
I love it, man. That is not blowing smoke up, one of the better elevator pitches we've had. So, Maddie, anything to
Okay.
add
Mhm.
for kind of just the description we have now, or
Yeah. So I think so if somebody's listening to this, right? I think the very first question that would be easy for someone to ask is you've already described it as somewhat of a master class. Why aren't you guys just making a master class? What is it? Why an NFT? You know what I mean? What is it? What is it I'm getting from that aspect?
good
Because you
question.
guys have all of this knowledge. You guys could just make a master class. What why did you want to go Web3? I'd love to hear that.
I think the idea with the NFT is I think it's twofold. I think first, it's the first phase of a larger idea for a business plan. A lot of the feedback we've gotten, something that we talked about early on, is that this would work really well as a subscription, just like Masterclass has,
Mm-hmm.
where you could subscribe and you can, kind of learn some of the lessons, engage a little bit, and then go on your way. And so I think phase two of this project will be to roll out subscriptions or a la carte where you can buy individual masterclass courses. So, for example, if you just want to learn how to edit in Premiere, you could just buy the Premiere course and you don't have to worry about anything else. But this NFT is more geared towards people that want to have everything we have to offer, which is all of the masterclass courses. So maybe you do want to become a YouTuber, but you don't know anything about anything, just like I did when I started. And you want to be able to create your own videos, make great content, edit your own videos, create thumbnails, and then post them. And you want to be able to be a self fulfilling YouTuber and actually get somewhere with your career. Well, you're going to need to know how to do one of the Photoshop, or you need to know one of the video editing platforms. So Premiere, you need to know Photoshop or some tool to be able to create your thumbnails. And then you need to know everything there is to know about how to get a YouTube video to pop off. It just so happens that this project does all three of those things. And the amount of time it would take you to do all three of those things and learn them all to an efficient degree would take at least 3 to 5 years. And you can do it. I'm not saying you can't. I mean, this is how I did it, right? Just took me like 10 years. And that's just to do the YouTube part of it and the editing part of it. Like the other stuff I learned a lot later on. So I think the whole idea is that for NFT holders, it's people that are diehard about what we're doing. And that's why we've made a supply that is much smaller than what we typically see in the space. It's like very small because we recognize it's probably a pretty niche community. We also want it to be a tighter knit community of creatives in this group that really want to help each other and potentially even create businesses together, bounce ideas off each other, work on projects together, get questions or get answers from questions that they have. Uh, I think the NFT part of it is much more of the diehard creators that are really committed to whatever they're trying to do and want to take it to the next level much quicker than you would have to do normally.
Yeah. And so I think though what you're trying to get at too is the reason why it's an NFT is you want that kind of degen mentality plus you're specifically speaking to the NFT audience because that's where you want to start. Is it almost like you're testing it out, but there's still that why NFT, why small supply?
I would say, I mean, could we do it as a? You could do the same thing without being an NFT. I would say that's probably fair.
Yeah.
I just think the idea. Well, I guess some of the stuff is a little bit more Web3 focused, like the PFPs, which is Mike touched on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do we have like what you're buying is the membership pass, but as part of the group, what we wanted to do is give people that are here longer and that engage more with the community or complete courses or show that they've actually used what we've put together and done something valuable with it. We want to kind of reward them with like a PFP as like a token of achievement, right? And the idea we had is instead of just giving you a randomly generated PFP, the more you do to prove that you care about the community and contribute to the community and add value for others in it, the more customizable assets you can have on your PFP. So you can make it look like you can make it have characteristics that you want. And we've created all kinds of different traits that are very on par with what we're doing with the creator stuff so that anyone who's in the group can basically create their actual avatar as they want it if they're willing to, add value to other members in the group. It's kind of an incentivization situation.
Yeah.
That part of it is definitely more Web3 based. I'm not saying we didn't have to do that. And, that's just, I think that's like a fun little add-on that we wanted to include to kind of have like a badge of honor that this is our group. And I fuck with this group and like, I want to be representative of this group because we're trying to build something real here. We didn't need to do an NFT. That's the truth. I would say. I don't think it had to be an NFT.
Sorry, I just want to touch on
actually
this.
think you answered it right there.
Okay.
I really do believe that education has a role in NFTs. Just simply because there's so many times you buy a course, you learn the material, and then you do what you will with it. The money's spent, right? But as an NFT, people can come into our community, they can learn the material, they can ask the questions, and then they can still recoup some of the value by reselling the NFT to somebody else. So
yeah,
while, I think that's probably one big part of the NFT that you don't get elsewhere from a traditional course, but also it gives us a way to pack all of the value under one roof, and mainly the interactions you get with the experts and the community is much more feasible with an NFT group than I feel like it would be in a traditional, just a YouTube video or a traditional course. When you buy a course, how often do you talk to all the experts or the one expert that teaches the course? Very rarely, I would say. And doing it under the umbrella of an NFT, creating the creative community, that gives us the outlet to talk with people who are interacting with our courses way simpler than I think you find in most traditional courses. So for me, the NFT is just a really good avenue to take to, put all of these different value points that we're bringing to the table under one roof in a packaged, clean environment.
Right.
So for me, that's why the NFT makes sense.
I think what the end of what you said, Matt, and what you just said, Mike. Look, we're in real time helping you hone your pitch. That is
You are.
your last minute about the PFP and then what Mike said. That's why you're making an NFT.
Well, and here's the reason I asked the question, because I mean, obviously, I've been in business for a long time, and you can have an amazing product, right? Well, to your point, Matt, right? It's the videos what are the videos that sell, right? And so, to me, what I think is very interesting about this is, like, if I were to answer that question I asked you myself, I would say this is a masterclass. We've just gated it with an NFT, right? The answer is it is a masterclass. However, with that gated NFT, by using an NFT to gate it, you can add so much more than just a class. And it can evolve over time. And by the way, anyone successfully using that gated community now has access to give someone else access to that because it's an NFT. And I think that is really interesting to me, right? Because when to be truthful, I've taken plenty of master classes, right? But you don't know. All of them look great, right? Because they pay somebody like you guys to make a really snazzy video with
Yeah.
Oliver Stone or somebody that's an insane, example of whatever it is, to make it sound like, whoa, okay, sure, I'm going to be, Steven Spielberg when I'm done watching this class. But the truth is you have no way of vetting how the students are actually performing as a result of taking that content, right? This is going to give you guys, by the way, this is for good or for bad, right? If what you guys do strikes true and people are using your classes and growing a business, the value of the NFT improves because what you have done was real, right? That is an immediate indicator for me, someone on the outside, saying it's worth investing in that NFT.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is something that is really, really cool. And so take that, whether that's good, bad, indifferent, however you want to use it. But I think that that's a massive part of promoting what you guys are doing that makes it different than just being able to go to YouTube or go to Masterclass or whatever it might be and just watch a video. So just for what it's worth, I think that I agree that NFT is a really powerful tool to use here. I think the power in it is that it can evolve and it immediately shows the results to a potential purchaser.
Yeah, to add on, I mean, Mike, you've said it multiple times. It's just NFTs to me really are community. Yes, there's the degen money making aspect, but the true magic of what happens in this space is people and their allegiance, and they build around
Yep.
these communities, right? Like, we have Morgan Stone on here multiple times. The amount of people that just scream Rudy Roo on the internet, like, that shouldn't be a thing, but it is because of an NFT and a community. It's just it's amazing. So any reactions there, gents, or do you think we kind of wrap that up well?
I think Maddie nailed something that I hadn't even thought of. Yeah, it's like a validation system, right? Like you go on, you see a product, you see the reviews, right? It's like a 4-star. And you're like, it's pretty good, but sometimes you don't really know where those reviews are coming from. But this is like you're attaching a financial, like a market price to this
Bingo.
course.
Yes.
And that is really hard to deny sometimes. My only qualm with it is that I do think we're in a position in this space right now where, like Mike kind of touched on a little bit, or Mikey kind of touched on a little bit, there are still a lot of people here that are flipping and are they're here for that kind of involvement, and that might not be the best reflection of what the actual courses are like.
Right.
If people are trying to flip for a profit, and there's going to be those people, we're fully aware. But I think you really nailed it, Maddie. I didn't even think about that, but you're totally right. It is going to be very indicative if people are taking the courses, are part of the community, and they say, "Hey, this is worth whatever. This is worth 1 ETH," just as an example. That kind of says a lot to someone on the outside, like, "Hey, someone else, the lowest value here that someone's willing to sell us for is 1 ETH."
Right.
Whether that's because the product's great or they're just, whatever it is, like there's some indication that there's a good thing going on here, and I think that's
Absolutely.
hard to deny, especially when there's money involved and people's like kind of investments involved.
Right.
It's much easier to kind of fake a review than there is to with a floor price.
Right.
So that's a really good point. I only do want to clarify one thing you said though. Maybe I wasn't very clear, and I think we definitely are still kind of putting our pitch together here. It sounds like, but this is 5 masterclass courses, 5 individual courses on different topics taught by 4 different people or
Right.
3 different people, I guess. And they're done. Like there's 83 courses or 83 lessons across these 5 different courses. For example, my YouTube one that I taught, it's 24 different videos, different sections. Like there's titles, tags, thumbnails, 7 ways to make viral videos, like all different kinds of topics that kind of scans across everything I know about the YouTube space. And they're already done. And they are shot exceptionally well, I will say.
Right.
We put literally a year of time into making these courses. So hopefully they're we deliver on what we wanted to deliver on there. But yes, that is what it is at the core. I mean, it's an academy of masterclass courses.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
But the NFT does add that community element that I think isn't
Absolutely.
as present with other courses.
yeah, and I would, add, I love Maddie's thought of like, yes, an NFT is going to be a reflection of the quality of courses, but remember, the top 20 NFTs that have a floor, a floor of an ETH or above, it's their community. Their community is just holding the NFT and raising a high floor price. So not only, so if you have your classes working well and you're building this tight knit community, that's going to happen inevitably. And you're getting the best of both worlds is what I'm trying to get at. So you add the quality of the courses layered with the community. And if it works right, it could be really good.
Yes, and that's what I was getting at too. I wasn't trying to infer that the NFT would only be a value on the course. It's everything you're building, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so cool because it's more than just a course, right? You already have that part. I think that this is going to be, again, if I'm sitting in there and I watch your lessons and I'm like, this is fantastic, and my YouTube channel is growing and starting to thrive, and I'm starting to get excited. Imagine somebody coming to me saying, I want in that community. How much will you sell your NFT for? And I'm thinking, but wait a second, I still have questions. And by having this NFT, I have access to you. I have access to both of you guys. I have access to other creators doing what I'm doing. I want to hold on to my NFT at that point. Do you see what I'm saying? And so yes, you're right. Flippers are going to be initially there. But as the dust settles and you start having a community of people that are thriving based on the stuff that you guys have built, uh man, it's like, what will be your asking price, and I don't know, you what's cool about the NFT space is, remember when Azuki launched and it was like, we knew it was big but nobody knew it was going to be that big, and remember it dipped a little bit and then all of a sudden nobody was willing to give up their Azuki and the floor price went from like 2 ETH to like 13 ETH in 24 hours. I think that I'm not saying that's what will happen, but I'm saying like
Right.
that dynamic was cool because nobody wanted to let it go. And that immediately changed the way people perceived its value because they're like, I can't buy one of these things. And it just exploded.
Yeah.
Right.
And so anyway, I think that's kind of what I was going for is I think you guys are building something that has value, and that is something that is really unique and important. Whereas a YouTube class or something I pay one time on Masterclass or Udemy or something like that is a one-time deal, and
Yeah.
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's huge, man.
You
It's a
nailed it.
great idea. And so let's do this. We've been vibing for over 2 hours now, even though we started late. I know that is it goes by quick. I want to give you both an opportunity to talk about whether you want to reveal the quantity mint price. If you do not, that's fine. Let's just give us any information. Talk to us about what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for you two and ChopParty.
Yeah, I don't think we have the final numbers just yet. We definitely want to keep it small. I would say it's definitely going to be below 1,000 supply, likely below 500. Where we end up, I'm not fully sure yet. But in terms of what the next 6 to 12 months look like, as soon as we launch the NFT, I think regardless of how it goes, we have a plan set in mind. The NFT, like I said earlier, is really meant for the hardcore people, and there may not be a ton of those people in Web3 right now. I don't really know. There might be,
Yeah.
but whatever that group is going to be our kind of like the OGs that we've really learned a lot from in terms of what we're going to do with the community and what the community really wants. The ideas we have are to bring in we have a handful of other people that are in the industry that are have worked with massive brands, are unbelievably talented. We'd love to have them come in and do one-off guest lectures and AMAs specifically for whatever they're really good at. I actually tweeted one of my friends today. He's like, I finally figured out, I cracked the code on YouTube videos. I wanna start teaching people. I want to start helping people. And I was like, bro, this is perfect. You're coming on Shop Party later this year. We're gonna do like maybe like a 1 or 2 hour AMA podcast, whatever the format looks like is up to the community. But
Mm.
bringing on those people to add other value in areas that we're good at, but maybe don't have all the answers to. That's definitely something we want to do. And then we also, the other stuff we have here on the little chart, the PFPs are going to be something to roll out over the year. People can the idea is they can claim them when they want, but the longer they're part of the group, the more they can customize them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like staking, but we're not making it staking because I really want to keep it as open to all kinds of people as possible. And that kind of transitions into the last thing I'd say we're going to do is that this phase 2 of this project is really gearing towards the Web 2 or the traditional, folks that aren't in Web 3 yet, because there's a lot of people that I know that would really like to be part of this, but really have no clue how NFTs work and maybe have a negative connotation that are associated with NFTs, don't understand what crypto is, and they don't want to get involved with all that, but we still want them to be part of this project. And so that's where the subscription or the a la carte kind of method comes in, and opening that up to those people, I think is going to be something we do in the next probably closer to 6 months or maybe even 3 months. So those are some of the things. Mike, you got anything else you want to touch on?
No, no, I think you nailed it. As far as what we're gonna do and what our plan is, I rest my case.
I love it. And with that being said, we are near the end, except we have one more question. We lied. It's a very softball question though, so don't get too scared. I'll start with you, Mike. We always like to ask how you and both of you either have been a part of, or if not, listened to thousands of AMAs or podcast type things. Would love a brutally honest review of how you felt your time on Midlife Crisis tonight went.
Honestly, it was very good. It was very good. You brought me back to my childhood, which I don't think Matt and I have talked about that kind of stuff in a very, very long time. But I will admit we love talking about that kind of stuff. We're very nostalgic people. So allowing us to give the pitch on our story and how we got here was definitely different. I don't think we've ever been in a situation where we've done that together, and kind of talked out what we grew up doing. So I definitely think that's a strong point of the interview and the AMA, and I'm happy you guys had us on because it was really good to talk everything out, and also I think Matt and I learned a few things about what we need to do moving forward.
Yeah.
So just being able to talk stuff out and bounce around ideas was super helpful, and I'm very thankful that you guys had us on.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. It means a lot. That's what we're looking for. Matt, any thoughts on your end?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When you said 2 hours, I was like, man, I don't know how I can talk about that for 2 hours. Like, I feel like we're doing a lot of stuff, but like, there's only so much I can say, right? Like, I don't want to seem like there's 2 hours and I'm like just grasping for straws at like all the nitty gritty details of this project. But, I'm going to be honest. I feel like this was like a therapy session. Being able to vent and just like talk out my entire my life, and then see it was really cool because Mike's my brother. Obviously, I don't think that's
Right.
a common thing that you would have here, but seeing his perspective and then my perspective and like kind of going back and forth on that was very, very cool. I had a great time. I think this format is completely unique to anything I've done or listened to before. It's way deeper than anything I've been a part of so far. And I think that's kind of important to get that backstory to really understand the people that whoever's listening, whoever's watching this later on, can kind of get an idea of who we are and what we're all about, and then make a decision more informed about what this project's all about. I just hope people are willing to listen to me talk for 2 hours.
Well, that's one thing we've recognized. So we work on cutting it down into snackable moments. As you know, being a YouTube person and social person, you need that. But Dude, you gave me chills down my spine. You literally nailed what our purpose is on this earth, we think, and why we do this show. So the fact that you felt that coming from someone like yourself that has been doing this stuff for a while means the world to us. Um, I'll let Maddie say his closing remarks. I'll say mine, and we will call it a night, gentlemen. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome, guys. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. It's been enlightening for Mikey and I too. I'm sure. I can't wait to the debrief is going to be really cool. I know Mikey and I are going to be talking about this for a while. And because here's what it is, we're content creators, right? So this is something that obviously is a direct interest to us. And we are certainly not coming from the perspective such as yourself, where we didn't get that start back in 2009. We haven't had millions of subs and whatnot. And so, in terms of what you're building, certainly, if your target audience is people in Web3 who are content creators, I would say you did a great job of getting our attention, right? So that part's great. And then what I would also say is this is just I hope you guys recognize that you have something really special, because it's one thing to be able to get in business with a friend that you can trust and build with, right? But to be able to do that with family and just all of the different shared experiences you guys have, and to be able to build this and thrive, that's something that just you don't see a lot these days. And I just hope it's something that you treasure. And based on everything you've said about doing things that you're passionate about and making sure you really stop to evaluate, am I doing precisely what I want to be doing, not just what I need to be doing, says a lot about you two as brothers, the fact that this is something you're doing together. And so I just want to commend you on that. It's rare. I don't know if you hear that or maybe you haven't, but it is. I can tell you from the outside looking in, it's a very special thing, and I hope you hold on to it, man. And I'm definitely, like I said, I'm interested. I want to know what you guys are doing. I'd love to hear some of the wisdom that you guys have put together, and I can't wait to continue this relationship and friendship moving on in the forward.
Bro, you're gonna
Beau-
make me cry on a Tuesday night. I'm getting all teary-eyed over here. That was beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate those comments.
Everything Matt said, as always, because he's so good with his words. I would say there's two things that really stood out. I'm gonna reiterate that Matt. I feel so fortunate that I have a best friend that I can call a business partner. It's so rare, right? And now you have a best friend that's your brother that you call a business partner. Embrace that, because whatever Robert Greene's 48 powers or rules of power said, he can go F himself, because I think we're going to do it right. And we're going to be able to build something beautiful. Two, I think I said this when we talked first, Matt, when we were talking about the show, is it really means a lot that you said it felt deep. You know, I think the one cool thing that we've done here is we've cast a really wide net, but all very deep conversations. And I look at this, we just built a friendship online, live online. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. And I just cannot wait to build and grow with you guys in the future. You got sharp minds. Listen, Maddie and I grew up. We met in 4th grade. That was in the 90s. And by the way, cell phones didn't exist. Okay. So you guys grew up with the digital age. We're coming from a different perspective. But we have a lot to learn. You know, we've built businesses. I've worked for massive brands, and I think we can learn a lot from each other. So I really look forward to that. And then both of you, I just want to commend you on, did a great job of explaining and orating and taking us through your journey and being vulnerable. You shared some really cool moments about being pissed off at each other, and you know how your parents impacted your life, and things from your childhood. That's not easy and hard to do, and I'm actually glad that felt therapeutic. So thank you for just being vulnerable, because it's not easy to do, and not everyone that comes on the show does that. So it means a lot to us, and thank you so much.
Yeah. You guys put on a really good platform to be able to kind of express these things in a very comfortable way. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, man. And with that being said, Midlife Crisis is out for the Tuesday night. We just vibe hard, well over 2 hours with two beautiful human beings. We will be back on Thursday night with Humans, who's building a high fidelity 3D metaverse. Metaverse is one of those other buzzwords.